Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Little Nightmares theory video. And as you can tell from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about the one and only, the Butler, and his dark secret. And if this secret is the connection that we've been looking for when it comes to the other characters in the Little Nightmares universe. So, before we get into the theory and video, let's do some spoiler warnings. So, spoilers for Little Nightmares, Very Little Nightmares, and Little Nightmares 2. I highly suggest that you play through all of these games to understand today's video, especially Very Little Nightmares. Side note, if you haven't, then I have actually done a Let's Play on the channel. I will link it below. You're more than welcome to watch. But anyway, with that being said, now you've been warned, let's get into the video. Just one more thing before we do. If you enjoy Little Nightmares content and the theories, make sure you slap a subscribe down. It really helps the channel, and make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the content too. Anyway, shameless self-promotion out the way. Let's make sure everyone is up to speed with the Butler, because I can guess that even though we've said that just, some of the fan base of Little Nightmares is not very fond on Very Little Nightmares or hasn't played it. So, the Butler, what do we know about him? So, we know that the Butler is only available in Very Little Nightmares, and he appears in a few stages. To be specific, it's Stage 6, 12, 13, 15 and 17, and is one of the main antagonists for Very Little Nightmares. The Butler is tall and slender, sounds familiar, and he seems to be wearing a tuxedo and shoes to match, very stylish. From looking at the Butler, you can see that the character has a large hunchback, but that's as far as we can tell in regards to deformities. The only thing that might be worth mentioning are his facial expressions and his eyes. And what I mean by this is that the Butler is constantly smiling, like his face is in a sewn into position. Sounds like someone's been to the Pale City at some point. Aside from his locked in smile, he also has some very small eyes, and they look rather colourless and beady. I find it quite interesting that they actually go to lengths to try and avoid you being able to see the eyes fully. Now, the Butler has a few powers in Very Little Nightmares, and the main one we want to focus on is his telekinesis. But he also has the ability to control electric in some sense, kind of like the way Darkseid could in Little Nightmares. It's more like an electrical disruption, if you will. We see these powers throughout the game. Mainly, the Butler can move and control things with his mind, while his sheer presence can affect electricity. We see it throughout the levels. And if we look even more, you'll notice that he doesn't actually step on the ground. He floats. Now, there is one thing that people are drawn to when it comes to the Butler, and this is his hands and how they're locked up. And ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you I believe I have the answer to this? But with this answer comes more questions. Sounds about right for the Little Nightmares universe. Well, let's show you one of the extra rooms that you can enter at the end of Very Little Nightmares. Before you go and face your doom at the end of Very Little Nightmares, you can go inside of a crack in the side of a cliff. In this crack is a room with a secret box and a light, and one of the most important things in the whole game, a key. Not just any key, a key with a symbol of an eye on it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I theorise that this key is what's keeping the Butler's hands locked away and not to be used. But who would do this? Why would they do this? Well, we know it must have been a child of the nest, as there are only the ones who could fit into this space. I think the reason why this happened is because the Butler has a dark secret. And I think that he has, or I theorise, that he has the ability to turn children into gnomes. And I think the Butler has been turning the kids to gnomes on the nest for a while, until it was stopped by someone. I believe the ones who locked up the Butler's hands were either the Pretender or the Pretender's parents. The lock itself looks very heavy and solid, and I don't believe it would be a normal child, as to get anywhere near the Butler, it would be a task in itself. So, it has to be someone who he trusts or knows. And who better than the Pretender's parents? But why? Why did the pretender or another child hide the key? We don't know for sure at the moment, and it may always be one of those little nightmares lore mysteries. But we may be able to piece this together in the future, but for now, this information leads us to think that in fact it could have been the pretender who hid the key, being a bit of a brat, or another child, or even a gnome themselves could have hid the key to stop the pretender, or the pretender's parents from ever opening it again. As we know, once a child has been gnomified, they can no longer speak, but they can tell their stories through drawings. And one of those drawings on the wall of the secret room tells the story of a child arriving at the nest in the hot air balloon and being turned into gnomes. So we know they didn't arrive as gnomes, and that gnomification process was happening on the nest at some point. And perhaps the butler was getting a bit too carried away with turning kids into gnomes. But aside from that, there is another interesting connection to make here, and that's of course the lady and the butler. They seem to have a lot of similarities when it comes to powers and abilities. As we both know, they can both float. They can both use telekinesis. And from what we've seen in this video, they both have the ability to turn children into gnomes. And also, they both cause electric to behave differently around them. So, is this just a coincidence? Or is there a reason for such connection? The theorist inside me wants to believe that there is a reason, and that this could suggest some type of past history with each of the characters. Is it too far-fetched to believe that at some point was the lady being looked after by the butler? What if the butler's role is to look after these ladies and raise them to teach them to use their powers and how to survive and control the world of Little Nightmares? But the connections just don't stop there. What if the butler and the lady are somewhat still in contact or connected? What if the hangman in the picture of the nest was the hangman on the moor? But with that being said, we can be sure of one thing, and it's whatever powers the butler holds, whether it just be gnomification or something more, it's locked away for good now and for reason. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this theory video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember, if you're enjoying the Little Nightmares theories, make sure to hit subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think the butler's hiding away. I'd be very interested to see your opinions, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, I wish you the best morning, day, or night, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next theory video. Bye.